I'm itchy, and I have a bad feeling. Last weekend I might have got into, I don't know how you get into it, but I've heard stories about this, and now we have poison ivy, poison sumac, and poison oak at the back of our property in the bush. And last weekend I spent 2 days back there cutting wood, and I got into some vines, and I cut a couple of them, and I've heard stories where you can get into maybe poison ivy or poison oak or poison sumac that way or something, but I got spots kind of where my earmuffs were and on the neck where my hoodie was rubbing, so I might have a little bit of poison ivy. If it's not poison ivy, it might be shingles. I've had shingles twice in my life, and doctors are like, that's impossible, but it's possible. I've had it. So I hope it's not shingles, because if it is, then I'll have to go to the walk-in clinic and get meds. But we'll see. We'll see how it progresses. But yeah, itchy. Okay, now that we got the fertilizer spreader fixed and we've actually missed most of the snow that people have been experiencing the last couple of days. We had some on the ground yesterday morning, but it melted by mid-morning. But it's still cold, but it's relatively dry enough that I can probably put some fertilizer on the wheat. Now, I did in the video where I was putting the nitrogen and sulfur on, that was part of the fertilizer. And I'm going to put some phosphorus and potassium down, P and K is what we call it, because it probably won't help the wheat crop a lot right now, but these fields are a little deficient. And I could probably wait to the summer to do it after the wheat's harvested, but I got a feeling that if I can get a little bit of benefit of the P and K, we'll do it now. And I really want to try it with the fertilizer spreader. So to set the fertilizer spreader, I got a special device here that I bought online. And what you see here are 4 compartments, and they're all different sizes of screens, and you can kind of see it here. It goes from big to small. And it breaks it down into particle size. And what we're trying to do with this is put a little bit of fertilizer on the one side here that has got the largest screen. And then we turn it sideways and we shake it back and forth for 30 seconds, and then we turn it back up. And it gives us a kind of a breakdown of percentages of particle size. And if you can kind of see, there's the percentages on this side. What happens then is I'll go on to the computer, and Kverneland is how I say it. The company that makes the fertilizer spreader I have has like a whole bunch of charts for different fertilizer. And what I do is put in the bulk density, which is we use here in Ontario. Even though we're metric, we use imperial, like you probably gathered. We use bulk density, which is pounds per bushel. Yeah, yep. That's what we're using, pounds per bushel. So I'll put the density in, I'll put the particle size in, and they'll spit out a spreading chart, and it'll give me the options of how far I can spread it and all the settings I'm supposed to put in the monitor. So the first thing we gotta do is go get some fertilizer, put it through this process, and then we'll see what the parameters are in terms of spreading it. So they delivered the fertilizer about a half hour ago. We got, I don't know how many ton. I asked for 9.5 ton, and they brought half of it basically. So I put it in these older gravity wagons because I don't really use them for much, and they serve a purpose. They're not ideal. I would like to kind of build my own fertilizer tender that would store the fertilizer and let it flow a little better, but I haven't had time. So this is what we use. So the blend you saw there in the wagon is MAP, mono ammonium phosphate, and potash, or muriate potash. There's red potash and white, and it looks like they got a little bit of both in the mix because there's red and white particles in there. So MAP is brown, potash can be white or red. So we'll do this shaky process. So yeah, just so you can see it a little bit better, there's a different color. So as I said, the brown is MAP, monoammonium phosphate. The red is Muriate Potash, and so is the white. That's the blend. And now we use our little special device to see particle size distribution. And doesn't look like it's going to be an easy job. I should have got a bigger thing. I'll just use this little Tupperware that's kind of clean, and we'll just pour some of this in there, and I'll try to get this on camera. So the way I have the lid is that it covers the other 3 holes and just has the one open for the larger particle size. And we'll just fill it up and put the lid back over. And looks like some fell through already, but we'll shake for 30 seconds. We went through the shaky process, and this is what we came up with. So you can see the distribution of particle size. These are being bigger, and then they get smaller as you go this way. So there isn't much at all in this one, and the bulk of the fertilizer is in these two. So I'm just going to look at that a second, and it says 70% and 30% basically, which makes up 100%. And there's 10. And there's 10 in the big one. So I think it might have spilled over a little bit because I had it sitting up when I dumped the product in. So we might try this again and not pour it in, but I'll maybe put it in this flat thing, and I can scoop it in this way so that it doesn't go up into here. Take 2. I don't think this is supposed to be rocket science, so I may be going a little overboard with it, but we got it done again, so we'll shake for 30 seconds. So that time we're 50, 40, or 90% total. There might be a 5 in either one of the really small stuff. So what I'll do is to say 40%. Oh, sorry, I lied. I can't read today. We're 60 and 40, so that's what I'm going to use. We're 60% the second largest, and we're 40% the second smallest. So that's kind of the outcome, and there's a little bit in both, but not much. So I think we'll just go with 60-40 on the particle size. We'll plug that into the computer and see what we get from the charts that Kverneland has online. You may be asking why we're in the grain room. Usually we get a slip of paper with the fertilizer that shows the bulk density of the blend. But with the current lockdown procedures with the virus, there isn't physical paperwork, and it's not emailed to me yet. So I'm just going to use my grain equipment to do bulk density on the fertilizer. We're 501 grams per half liter. So this is the fun part where we're metric and imperial. So I gotta convert 501 grams per half liter to oh sorry, it was not pounds per bushel. It's pounds per cubic feet. My apologies. I knew it wasn't right. Yeah, pounds per cubic feet. So I got to convert that into that. And I might just go to the computer and do that. So here is basically a spreading chart, and it gives me all the kind of parameters and settings over here that I gotta put into the controller for this fertilizer type. So I guess all that's left is load up the spreader, put the parameters in, and see how it goes. So we're spreading 90 feet, which is nice because then we'll be able to follow the sprayer tracks, and that was kind of my plan with this kind of spreader. The older, well, I wouldn't say the older, some of the pull type spreaders that you'll see, like a Wilmar or different, like a Tyler, that a lot of the retail outlets have, they only spread like 40 to 50, some spread 60 feet. And they're kind of a guesstimate on how to set them. And that's kind of why I went to this fancier spreader. So we're able to spread 90 feet and we can be a lot more accurate. Okay, just getting ready for the first fill, just setting up some stuff on the controller. And I gotta go grab my sheet that I printed off because I forgot it. And then we'll go over and fill up with fertilizer and see how it goes. Okay, we have got 4,700 pounds in it. I didn't stuff it because I just want to make sure things work before I jam it full of fertilizer. Everything's set here. We're going to go see if we can make it work, and we'll go from there. Great success. Everything seems to be working fine. I'm just going around the outside of the field right now, and it seems to be putting on the proper amount based off the load cells, and I'm pretty happy. And it's pretty simple, so even better. You can see behind me there's even a little bit of dust, but I think that could be both tire dust and fertilizer dust, but it's working pretty good. Once we get going here, I'll see if the auto swath or I guess the section control that is available on this works. But if it doesn't, that's fine. Everything else seems to be working really well, so we'll just pick away at it here. Figure we should get out and have a look, and we do have fertilizer spread all the way out here, so that's over 90 feet. And when I get looking in behind me here, it looks like it's doing a pretty good job over the 90-foot spread pattern. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can get to measure how accurate it is, but I don't have that stuff, and this is not super critical. I know I shouldn't have that attitude, but it's more of a kind of top up, because this field will get hit with chicken manure in the summertime and cover crops. So as I said, we're just trying to top it off and kind of work with stuff. But I basically drove right down here a path. This is where I came up last time. And I'm heading back now the other way, and when I kind of walk across things, it looks pretty good. You can see some of the fertilizer right there. Looks good, I'm happy. Keep going. This is a bit of that fertilizer dust like I was talking about that we'll have to keep it washed up. You can see it all here. Just happens. But everything back here looks like it's good. Life is good. Got a co-pilot. We got the first 4,000 pounds roughly spread, so filled it up a second time with about 6,000 pounds and just out finishing this field here, and then we'll go on to the next one. But everything seems to be working pretty good, so I guess we'll just keep picking away at it. On the last load of fertilizer, I had to shave the rate back a little bit because I didn't really compensate when I ordered fertilizer for the overlap. This spreader, because I don't have the other part of the controller that would come from the company that made it, the auto swap doesn't work in terms of section control. It shuts off when it gets into an area that's been already applied, but so we're kind of over applying about 2% because of overlap. So I had to shave the rate back on this last field from 100 pounds down to 87, which is fine because this field's wasn't as bad as the other two, but I'm hoping I can finish because the snow now is just getting bad enough that I'm not really making marks in the field, but it's not really ideal. I was just kind of hoping I could get through. I only got 27 acres left, so I think unless it gets really bad, I'll just punch it through. But that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like outside. I don't know if you can see. Kind of a haze of snow in the background. So, as I said, not ideal. But at least the fertilizer spreader works. It's not hard to set, and we'll be good for when the weather's good again.